Okay, I can talk
Okay.
to. Yeah, perfect.
Well, this is the first video of Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have Ben, is it Reichert?
Yeah, right
Is
here.
that right? Yeah, you got it right. Do I have your permission to record this and put it on YouTube?
Yeah, you have my permission. Totally
Perfect.
okay.
Perfect. So Ben, where are you from?
I'm from Germany,
Germany. What part of Germany?
south of Germany, near Stuttgart.
Okay. Show them the Richie Sambora guitar behind you.
Yeah, wait. Yeah, there it is.
That is cool. Play a quick tune.
I thought you were asking this. You can see it, right? I have to see now. I can see a little more better.
Pretty
Yeah.
cool. That's pretty cool. Do you play fully acoustic, or do you play any electric?
It was acoustic now, but
Acoustic.
when I played electric via the pickup, the sound is pretty much better.
Oh wow. See, I've always wanted to learn to play guitar, and I took a guitar class when I was in high school, and we played on those. What do they call those? The nylon string. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Like the not like the real string, but that's the string we had to play on. And I learned to play Blaze of Glory, and well, just the intros to Blaze of Glory, and I'll Be There for You. So I guess those are pretty simple to play. But other than that, I sucked at playing guitar. So I gave it up. But I've always wanted to get back into the hobby of it.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
Yeah.
That's a gave up.
So how long have you been a Bon Jovi fan?
How long? I started with in the 2000s with Crush. Yeah.
Me
That
too.
was you too. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was my first. Yeah, with releasing "It's My Life," this was my first touch point with Bon Jovi. Let's call it like this. Let me just put the guitar back.
Okay.
Yeah, this was my yeah, with "It's My Life" and all the Crush album. I got in touch with Bon Jovi and the guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I became a fan in June 2000, right before Crush came out. And
Okay.
I saw them on VH1 when VH1 did music videos, and the "It's My Life" video came on, and I thought the stunt guy was pretty cool. Like that catches any kids. I was 8 years old, and that caught like my attention. And then I was like, oh, John and Richie and Tico look cool because they were like, well, I think Richie and Tico were wearing sunglasses and stuff like that. And so I begged my dad to buy me the Crush album, and then I fell in love with that album, and then I bought like the previous albums, and that's where it all started.
Cool.
So it'll be 20 years for both of us this year of being fans. So
yeah. Yeah. So then your first concert was at the Crush tour?
Technically, yeah, the One Wild Night tour, which was like a continuation of the Crush tour. So I saw them in first concert was in Hershey Stadium here in Pennsylvania, and it was towards the end of the tour, and I sat far back on the floor of the stadium, which was okay. I remember when they came out, my dad put me on his shoulders, and the band came out, and it was so cool because they came out like I think it was like an elevator or something, and like all five of them, it was John, Richie, David, Tico, and Hugh, and they all stood there. And then they started, I think the first song was One Wild Night, and I could not believe I was seeing them because I was a fan for a whole year at that point. I had all the albums, and I knew all the songs by heart and stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know why, but when I was 8 years old, like my favorite song was Silent Night. I from the
Wow.
7800 album, and like I was like crossing my fingers for them to play that. And now
Yeah.
that I look back on that, those chances are very slim of that song ever being played live.
Yeah.
So, but what was your first concert?
My first concert was the Bounce tour,
Oh, I love that tour. I think I
2003, I guess.
yeah. How was seeing the Bounce tour over there?
Yeah, I was. The concert was an open air concert, and yeah, it was 3 years after after becoming a fan. Let's call it
Yeah.
like. And my parents made a present for me for Christmas. I got the tickets for Christmas from my parents. Then I went with a friend of mine there. Yeah, it was the first really big live concert for me. So it was kind of a very special concert for me.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell me too. How exciting was it to see them for the very first time? Because as a kid, I was. How old are you?
I'm 33.
So you would have been 13 at the time. So as a kid and stuff, you see these guys on TV and magazines and your albums and stuff like that, and it's kind of like surreal to see them live for the very first time. That
Yeah.
was a huge adrenaline rush for me when I was 9 at the time when I saw them. So
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah.
You're younger than me.
What's that?
So you are pretty much younger than me.
I'm 27. I'll be 28 here in a couple months.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So
Cool.
I know we wanted to talk about Richie.
Yeah.
You can give me your take first.
I mean, we have loads of topics to talk about, but yeah, we should have cut it short like this. Um, yeah, Richie's exit. I mean, let's start with that. I like very much the beginning years of Bon Jovi.
Like
From
the 80s, Bon Jovi.
the 80s, yeah, exactly. That for me, Slippery is for me the best band or the best album. I like pretty much. I mean, the other albums are awesome too, but this is my favorite one. Yeah. So
Which one's your favorite one again?
Slippery.
Slippery. Okay, that's what I thought you said. I'm just making sure. Yeah, Slippery's a good album. Yeah, that's obviously the album that made them big. But anyway, as you were saying,
Yeah, and I mean, in this time of the band history, um, Richie made a lot of work in the songwriting process, doing backing vocals and all the stuff. And this was for me the core thing, one of the core points that were special for Bon Jovi. I mean, the combination of John's voice, the voice with Richie's one. This was for me the perfect match always. And so when in I guess it was 2013 when he left. Yeah, for me it was like a shock because there is so much lost. Not even the guitar playing riffs and solos and all the stuff. I mean, all the stuff behind Richie did, like backing vocals, because I think he's a great singer too. I mean, just look at his solo records.
oh yeah, I love his solo records. Um,
Yeah,
my favorite solo record is actually the newest one with Orianthi, which came out
yeah,
like 2 years ago. The RSO, Radio Free America.
yeah.
That's my favorite one. What's yours?
Okay, no, I didn't like the collaboration with Orianti.
Okay.
I For me it's Undiscovered Soul, his favorite album of Richie's ones.
Which one?
Undiscovered Soul.
I like Undiscovered Soul. That was his second one.
Yeah,
I think he gets better because I like Stranger in This Town. It was okay,
yeah,
but Undiscovered Soul was better. And then obviously Aftermath of the Lowdown was a lot better. And
yeah.
then RSL was even better for me. So it seems like each one is always better than the last, which is a good thing. And I'm looking forward to this new one. I think they're what's his name? They're producing it with Bob Rock, who's produced previous Bon Jovi albums and stuff. So
Really, I didn't know the name of the producer.
yeah, I think it's Bob Rock producing it, and so looking forward to the new one. Richie seems, well, we'll get to that. So continue on with your thoughts and.
Yeah, I mean, um, yeah, I experienced Bon Jovi with both with Richie and now with Phil. So, and Phil X does a really good job. I love him as I am a guitar player, and he does a very good job. And in this time he had to learn the songs or to step into the band, he did a very great job. But you can't replace a guy like Richie. That's my
Yeah.
opinion. Yeah.
And I don't think that was Phil's goal ever, was to ever replace. Obviously in 2011, 2013, his job was just to fill in, and Phil knew that, and I don't think Phil was ever trying to replace Richie, because at both those tours, 2011 tour and the 13 tour, the idea was that Richie may be coming back.
Yeah.
And definitely in 2011 that he was going to come back. In 2013 was out in the air. But I don't think Phil's intention was to ever replace Richie. And a lot of people think that. You see a lot of tweets saying, you can never replace Richie and blah, blah, blah. He's not doing that. He's the guitarist now. How many other bands are out there that don't have one of their original members that are, doing the part, but moving forward, they're making their own craft into the band. Like, I'm excited for this new album, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm excited to see, because Phil has had more input and more guitar work on this album, even more than This House Is Not For Sale, because John Shanks kind of did a little more guitar work on that album. But on the 2020 album, I'm looking forward to what Phil has to offer. But if you look at him live, well, I guess we'll get to this. Keep going. I could go on and on.
Yeah, that's right. Me too. Anyway, I think it's how the guys are doing now. It's really great, and I like pretty much the new albums where This House Is Not For Sale, and now the new single Limitless, and 2020, which is coming up. So let's see where the journey goes. But definitely, I mean, they had to develop in a new way or change in a new way, like kind of the style of the songs and everything. And therefore now Bon Jovi has more members than in the early 80s. So, but this is part of the time of the development.
Progression of the band. The thing is, it's a new chapter for the band. It's not Slippery When Wet anymore. It's not New Jersey. It's not Keep the Faith and so on. It's 2020, and so things are obviously different. And I still think the band is great. I loved Unbroken and I loved Limitless. There was a lot of negativity regarding Limitless, and I thought it was great. I think that there should have been maybe more of a guitar solo in the song, but other than that, I thought it was great. The lyrics, a lot of people thought that the lyrics were too simple in the song. I didn't think it was.
No.
If you look at it, it's actually deeper lyrics than you think it is. Like, he's at, when John was writing that song, I think he wanted to paint a picture of, scrub your face and brush your teeth, because we do that every single day. We're doing the same thing every single day, or, finding your shoe, or grab your shoes, but you can't find your feet, which means you don't want to get dressed and go out for the day. I even feel like that some days. There's days where, obviously I find my shoes, but I don't want to put them on and go to work and blah, blah, blah. And that's what the song is about is, doing things and taking risks and chances and all that. So I hate all the negativity that's with that song. I think it's a great song, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the album.
It totally is. It totally is a great song. And I mean, you talked already about the critic and the people gave in the social media channels and all the stuff by missing a solo or something like that, or the simplicity. But I mean, a song doesn't have to be pretty much complicated to play or stuff like this, or have cool riffs and solely in it. I think the most important thing is the message of the song.
That it has a good message.
Bring out, and I mean, look at the great songs, the successful songs of other bands. I mean, just for example, "Born in the USA" by Bruce Springsteen. It's a song with 3 accords on the guitar. So it's so simple, but the meaning is so big.
And I'd rather have an album with a lot of meaning and stuff like that. Like with this album, John says it's a socially conscious album and not like an album like Slippery When Wet. And you can't expect John to write songs like "You Could Love a Bad Name" and "Bad Medicine" and all those things, because that's not. It's weird. Those songs coming from a 55-year-old or 58-year-old, 59, however old he is. You know what I'm saying? So it's good that he's writing songs that have meaning and stuff like that. So people just are stuck in one time, like stuck on the Slippery album and don't want to progress with the band. So
yeah, that's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. When I read the comments the people post under, for example, the new single or stuff, then this is exactly the point, because they think, I mean, you can say Bon Jovi now is not Bon Jovi in the 80s. That you can compare this. That's the normal progress of each human, of each band, of everything.
Yeah, and I said that a month ago when Limitless was released. I said, it's not 1986 anymore. It's 2020, and blah blah blah.
Exactly.
And I respect everyone's opinions and stuff, but when you constantly put out hate regarding the new, just don't listen to it. There's other music you can listen to. You can go listen to the Slippery record again. There's songs that I don't like. But that's a discussion for another time, I guess. But back to Richie. Did you have any more to say?
Yeah, I mean, what do I have to say more about it? For me, it was, I don't know exactly the reason. I think nobody knows the reason exactly why he left. I mean, the media told us, or that's the opinion I have, that he stated that he will have more time with his family because he spent the last 20 years at this point of time with Bon Jovi. Yeah, I mean, you don't know, you can't know exactly what was the reason, but I really liked when they came back together when they were inducted into the Hall of Fame in last year.
Yeah, it was great to see them all together again. I was actually, I love Richie, and I'll get into my take on the whole Richie and Phil thing here in a second. Yeah. But when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame started, I was actually more excited to see Alec again with the band.
Yeah.
Because Alec was the one I've never gotten to ever see live. And sadly, I wasn't able to make it to the Rock Hall because I had to work and stuff. But, I was looking forward to seeing Alec together again with the band. And, as you can tell, he's got some health issues. And I think he only played for Living on a Prayer during the band set on the Rock Hall. But, I was actually looking more forward to Alec than I was. I was looking forward to seeing Richie too, but it was kind of cool to see Alec again.
It was. Yeah.
So my take on the whole Richie thing was obviously I've seen every single tour since I was 8 years old. I've been a fan since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
So obviously I loved Richie, and like you said too, you know, back with Slippery and stuff, you know, when they were writing songs together, you know, Richie was a dynamic part of the band with his, you know, he's an incredible songwriter, he's an incredible vocalist, and obviously he's a hell of a guitar player.
Yeah.
And he is my second favorite guitar player now. Phil's actually first, not just because of his part with Bon Jovi now, just because I just find Phil incredible. But anyway, you know, so growing up, I've always looked up to Richie, and I've seen him on every tour, and I think he's phenomenal. And I have huge respect and appreciation for him and all that. Obviously, in 2011, I saw a few shows with Richie. I was close to the stage twice, I think, out of like 5 shows that I saw on that tour.
Okay.
And I remember the last show, I can't remember where the last show I saw him was on that tour, but you could tell that I think he was drinking or something, because he just wasn't there. And the band has gone, you know, public about it. You know, there was substance abuse of some sorts. And because that's when he went to rehab. Remember in 2011?
Yeah.
Because then I remember, and I was just like any other fan, I was worried about him, and you know, and then with this new guy coming to play guitar, I was like, oh, we don't want to replace Richie and blah blah blah. And then the first show that Phil did, and it was like, I think it was like a 3 weeks notice. Phil got called in to do Jazz Fest, which was like an April show, and I think it was in between legs or during, I don't remember. But I remember watching because they live streamed the Jazz Fest. Did you ever see that show?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, man. After this video, you've got to go on YouTube and type in Bon Jovi Jazz Fest 2011.
Yeah.
And that was the very first show Phil did with the band.
Okay.
And I remember watching the live stream of it on my computer. And I remember Phil coming out, and I thought he did a great job. I really did. I was like, this guy's pretty cool. And I was actually kind of, because I don't think they made the official announcement yet, because they weren't sure when Richie was going to get out of rehab and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I hope Phil plays, because I had like 4 more shows to go to after that.
Yeah.
A couple of them were Ohio shows, I know that. And I remember I got to see Phil and I was still antsy because like I didn't want Richie replaced, and I thought maybe this guy was replacing him. And I remember I had so much respect for Phil the first time I saw him live. I thought he was, because he brought his own style, and he still does. He brings out his own style, and
he has to. Every musician has to.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, because then it's if you don't do this, then that's the nature of the musicians, I think.
Yeah. And so I was so excited to see Phil, and I was glad I got to see Phil for a few shows that tour.
Yeah.
And then I remember 2013 started, and obviously Richie came back during the 2011 tour overseas. He went, you know, to Europe and all that. So, and he was good and stuff like that. And then 2013 tour started, and I did a lot of shows on that. I think I did like a total of 12 shows on that tour. But I remember the first leg, which was North America, I did 6 or 7 shows, and there was a few, and you know, I'm not trying to sound braggish or anything like that, but I was close to the stage a few times, and there was good shows with Richie, and then I remember there were other shows that Richie was not on it. I remember I watched him do mistakes on some songs, and like with the talk box a couple of times, and it's, you know, it just wasn't Rich, and you could tell. And I remember in between songs, I could see, you know, like, you know, when the lights go out and stuff, and you can still kind of see John and Richie and all of them. I remember seeing John and Richie, and I remember John giving him a look quite a bit, like there was something going on. And
okay.
And it was, you like you were kind of worried what was going on. But like I said, there were other shows too where he was just fine, and I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, oh, maybe he's just having a bad day, or or whatever. And then the second leg started, because they did a 3-week break in between legs, and it was a continuation of the North American leg, and it was in Calgary. And I every show I always what's the word I'm looking for? Keep up to date with stuff like that. And then everyone was tweeting that there's no Richie. And long story short, he didn't show up, and that kind of pissed me off. And that's where I kind of lost a lot of respect for Richie at the time, was the way he left. Obviously, I think there's more to it than family, wanting to see his family and stuff, especially because of 2011 and 2008. Because even during 2008, he had to go to rehab before that tour. And I say all of this out of love and appreciation for Richie, because I'm still a fan of him. But I was pissed off with him on that tour, and I was so happy to see Phil. And and so I got to see 5 more shows with Phil, and I thought those 5 shows were better than the first leg that I saw with the 7 shows. Seeing Phil just added so much energy, and so after that tour, I was kind of hoping that Richie would come back, but at the same time too, I was like, if Richie doesn't come back, Phil gets to stay. So I was happy either way. And I think within the last few years, I've just had so much more appreciation for Phil, because I've been mad at Richie for the last few years, and just actually within the last year, I've gotten back into Richie's solo music, and now I'm at peace with it. I really am. I think a lot of fans are still mad. There's some fans that are at peace like I am, and still love his music, still love his part of the band, and so forth. I was just listening to the RSO album the other day, and I just love it. And I'm looking forward to his new solo album. And I hope one day he comes back with the band. I really do. I hope that Richie will come back and make another album or tour. But I want Phil to stay in the band as well.
Yeah. I hope that there will be a reunion coming.
My thoughts are a farewell tour, which I hopefully is a long time away. But I hope that the last tour that they have Richie, they keep Phil, and they have Alec, at least on some shows or for a couple of songs, because I would love to see Alec. And I think that'd be a great last tour. Like I said, hopefully that's way down the road. But
that would be awesome.
And seeing Phil on these shows is so cool. And I was so happy when he was listed as an official member, because like I said a little bit ago, he adds so much excitement. He has his own style. It's not like he's just up there playing Richie's parts and done. He, if you watch his Keep the Faith guitar solo, or Lay Your Hands on Me guitar solo, or Always, he adds his own special touch to it, but he doesn't take away from the solo.
He finds the right combination to fill in with his style, but a little bit keep the original one.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever met Phil, have you?
I met him 1 year ago at a master class at a trade fair here in Germany. There I met him. Yeah.
See, I've met Phil a few times, and he's always been so, and I'm speaking for other fans too that have met him, he's so genuine and kind, and he knows his place in the band, and he doesn't try to replace, he doesn't try to, what's what I'm looking for, be something that he's not. He does a great job of what he does. And I don't know if you listen to his solo stuff is great. The Stupid Good Lookins album, I love that album.
Yeah.
But,
I can totally confirm this. When I met him in this masterclass, we were about 15 people having 2 hours time with him, and we brought with us our guitars, and he showed us some stuff and licks, and He answered questions and all the stuff, and he signed all materials we brought with us. And yeah, it's a great guy, a great musician, and I love his stuff. And it's all the world. So
yeah, that's why I say, I hope with when they do their last tour, which is hopefully a long time from now, I hope that Richie will come back and collaborate on a new album, and that he tours, Phil tours, Alec tours. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But so other than that, I think I'll close the recording, and then you and I can chat for a few more minutes and go from there.
Yeah.
Let me stop the recording.
Okay. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for watching, and there'll be more videos. Thank you.